Gentlemen, it is always difficult to draw quick conclusions at the end of such an intensive day. Today, a lot of mixed feelings were running through this room and through our minds. It was almost impossible to stay calm and focused, knowing about the horrible events which happened just around the corner. By the way, one of the explosions happened in Molenbeek metro station, which is just below the offices, which are our offices, the European Landowners Organization and RISE offices. And frankly, we do not know how it looks there. So we were pretty lucky to be all here today. But before wrapping our today's discussions, I would like to say that our minds were and are with the dead and wounded in today's events, with their families and their friends. Apparently, I have looked before entering to the latest news from Slovenia, at least 34 dead persons and 170 at least wounded. I know that you have already done it, but since we are closing our conference and we are more or less all together here, I would again like to propose 1 minute of silence in the memory of those who have lost their lives today in terrorist attacks here in Brussels. So, ladies and gentlemen, please raise in their memory. Thank you. Let their lives and their sacrifice for the better world be remembered. Coming back to our conference, I hope you are agreeing that it was an extraordinary event. UN meeting in Brussels. Ban Ki-moon brought us to the very crux of the issue when he affirmed that SDGs are the declaration of interdependence and that the food chain is a perfect example of how we are all linked. We will only end hunger if we change how we grow, process, distribute, and consume food, because true progress demands new food systems. Achim Steiner, farmers are no longer an isolated decision makers, but rather are influenced by the upstream and downstream context in which they operate. We have to recognize this complexity if we are to stop compromising our future ability to feed growing global population. We need to reinvent agriculture, not addressing only the question of more and more food, but also of more nutrient and healthy food. 21st century is about managing complexity, and we have to do that together. Reality is local, but context is global. And we need local specific solutions to address these global challenges. Integrated approach is needed. There is a very important role of small farmers as part of the private sector. Europe has a central role to play in this transformation. We have few decades of experiences of the common agriculture policy. This is not relevant only for the rest of the world. It is relevant also for the viable agriculture sector in Europe. During our first session, José Graciano da Silva emphasized that family farmers here in Europe and around the world are the key to providing food security. But we must realize that each faces different obstacles. Together, we must invest in available, accessible, and inclusive tools and technologies to help us make the necessary changes. We have to complete the unfinished agenda of agricultural transformation we started some decades ago. We agree about diagnosis, but we do not agree about solutions. Malnutrition and obesity are both part of our reality. Labeling and informing consumers is critical if we want more responsible consumers' decisions. One of the priorities should be to address the poor families, the smallholders, the family farms. His warning on the impacts of climate change on our food production cycles highlights the need for governments to seriously assess their capacity to meet the SDGs. The uncertainty connected to climate change is huge, and it will dramatically influence on the farmers' future. So better information is needed. Silos governance is one of our major problems. It was also good to hear from Commissioner Hogan that the European Commission is fully committed to the SDGs, providing greater market access, climate leadership, and more resources for environment. Indeed, it was good to hear that European agriculture has already dropped its greenhouse gas emissions by 24% from 1990. However, it is our reaching out to Africa and the developing world so that we can help them grow, both literally and figuratively, which shows the way forward. It is through sharing knowledge, both basic and advanced, that we will achieve the SDGs. The panel group in session one were collective in their arguing that real systems change is needed right now to address climate change and change the way we do food. That we need to get out of silo and view the food system as whole, joining together food, health, production, and the environment in our approach. Right now, there is a wealth of knowledge, research, and technical know-how to bolster this change. But the key is empowering farmers, and specifically smallholders, to access the knowledge, technology, and capital. Session 2, Jeffrey Sachs Forum for the Future of Agriculture is a unique and timely gathering of world leaders in agriculture and sustainable development to discuss the crucial issue of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Agriculture stands at the heart of the challenge of sustainable development, yet the challenges are daunting. We must feed a growing world population with a nutritious diet, raise the living standards of smallholder farmers, make the food supply resilient to climate shocks, and lower the impact of the farm sector on land, water, and climate. This is a profound challenge that will require the best of science, policy, business, and civil society operating together in a bold and cooperative manner. None of the problems is solvable in less than a generation, and we have to steer this journey not to fall from the cliff. We need goals. It will be hard to achieve anything without them, and he shared a very inspiring Kennedy's quote. And SDGs are that kind of goals, a global contract, but they are not obligatory, and there is no court to enforce it. I'm an optimist. I'm not an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm just an analyst. If we really want to help, then help the girl in Africa to get educated. In session 2, it was underlined that education is key to changing societal behaviors in order to achieve SDGs. This spans from making people understanding the value and the cost of food, and reducing food waste too. For example, get consumers to understand the benefits of reusing nutrients recovered from our waste. In the session 3, our third keynote, John Ingram, underlined that agricultural innovations can simultaneously address multiple SDGs, but synergies among them can be promoted most effectively when considered via a food system approach. One cannot address food challenges in isolation, and problems of the food chain cannot be solved looking only through the lenses of agricultural policy. We need a whole system approach. We have also heard during the panel about the importance of the fertilizers regulation, which the Commission has taken on board, importance of education, importance of good examples to help the people on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of important thoughts are, of course, not captured in this very short summary, and quite some of them have actually been repeated. All the speakers have done a great job to move our ideas and our future forward. To build this future, we will need new kind of policies, new innovations, but above all, we will need a new kind of a society. One based not just on what values we wish to see in each other, but one that places a great value and dignity also on our environment. A pledge not to see our planet as a resource that we can consume and throw away, but as our shared home. There is no other choice. We still have found no other place like Earth. For now, our future is here, or there is no future. The time has come to forge a new global contract for a global community. If we were to design such a deal, we would immediately see that all the partners in this new global contract need to be satisfied. Our planet, with its finite resources, needs to be recognized as not just our partner, but our benefactor. In return for our very existence, we should take care of our home, just as a good farmer takes care of the long-term health of his and her land and soil, water and air, so should we nurture and support our planet. This is not just for our benefit, but for the future of every living thing on this earth. We are now in the process of rewriting our contract with the planet. It can no longer be an old colonialist model of overexploitation and overextraction. As citizens of a rapidly changing world, we must live within the planetary boundaries, whether they are resources or climate. The new SDGs already state 17 goals that form the requirements of both us and the planet: strong ecosystems, enough food for all, sustainable cities and communities, and more and more. These goals we have globally agreed on. Now, we must do the hard work of making the SDGs reality. In order to survive, we know what we have to do. But the changes we seek to make are hard. In order to be truly sustainable, they require us to change our way of life and to recognize our communalities. It is a transformation so radical that we have not seen the like since the Industrial Revolution changed the face of the earth in a single generation. Nobody should be under the impression that this can be done by making only small changes to our existing systems. It is a whole-scale revolution that touches all the corners of the lives, jobs, societies. There is no choice, and there is no real alternative. We must turn away from our current and wasteful linear models of production and towards an economy that rewards sustainability, long-term thinking, and environmental consciousness. It needs to change your lives, and it needs to change mine too. To pretend otherwise is to simply ignore the scale of the challenge that is written into our new global contract. The SDGs are a great step forward, and so is the Paris Agreement. But words and ceremonies are easier than deeds and hard decisions. I can tell you this from my own experience as a former politician. Fulfilling the terms of our new contract will be among the hardest things our societies have ever done. And yet, I know that we are up to the challenge. We have advantages in innovation, in communication, and above all in terms of organization that we have never had before. Our younger generations are not just aware of what is happening locally, but they are growing up with a global perspective. We can share our technologies and best thinking and at the touch of the button. We can organize, come together, and demand change at a pace that would be unthinkable to even our own parents. That is extraordinary support for our global goals, and I urge you to use them. I leave you today with a challenge and also with an invitation. The challenge is to consider what each of us can do personally and professionally to realize food and environmental security. The invitation is to come back here next year. There, we can take stock again, see where we are, and what we can do further to further our goals, whether we have upheld our end of the global contract. Finally, I would like to thank all who made this year's FFA possible, all those working hard for many days behind the stage. They would actually deserve to be on the stage as much as us speakers, since we all collectively contributed to the success of this event. I would also like to thank both organizers, ELO and Syngenta, for the continuous support they are offering to the FFA. I sincerely hope they will stay with us also in the future and support this process of necessary changes we are collectively facing and trying to address. Changes and challenges which are many times not easy also for them. And finally, thank you, all the participants, for being with us on this very emotional and interesting day. I wish you all a safe trip back home, and I hope we will see you soon. Next year, we will celebrate 10 years of the Forum for the Future of Agriculture, and you surely do not want to miss that. Thank you.